Have you ever thought about the hidden dangers of everyday products from a century ago? Disturbingly, there was a time when radium, now known to be hazardous, was a common ingredient in consumable goods. How can something so dangerous be marketed as beneficial? In the early 20th century, radium was hailed as a miracle cure and added to various products, even health tonics that promised perpetual sunshine. People had no idea of the deadly consequences. What happened over the next few years was extremely disturbing. It sent chills across the entire world. A ceramic water cooler contained a small amount of radium mixed into its clay. There are also a few glow-in-the-dark watch faces from the early 1900s. These products were based on real scientific discoveries of that time. However, the inventors misunderstood the science, leading to dangerous outcomes. Marie Curie's work with radioactivity in the early 1900s partly focused on finding medical uses for this new discovery. Radium was used to treat cancer, and X-rays helped doctors treat injured soldiers during World War I. Radium's amazing qualities were widely talked about in the news. Hearing about the medical benefits of radium, inventors in Europe and the US started selling radium products. These products are claimed to give people more energy, improve health, and cure various illnesses. Then, a new cancer treatment caused a lot of excitement. Many people believed that if radiation could treat cancer, then it must have other health benefits too. Both real doctors and frauds jumped on this idea and promoted it widely. Fortunately, radium was very expensive at that time, which is about $2.2 million a gram today, so most of these health products and fake medical tools didn't actually contain radium. If they did, it was only in tiny amounts. However, a few of these products still caused a lot of harm. The most famous example is the Radium Girls. These were women hired by companies to paint watch dials with glow-in-the-dark paint made from radium. Radium Girls worked in a factory of the United States Radium Corporation around 1922. Luminous dials were first made during World War I and became popular with the public afterward. Companies making these dials hired young women to paint the numbers and hands with glow-in-the-dark paint. The women were told to keep their paintbrush tips fine by sliding them between their lips or curling them with their tongues. By doing this, they ingested a lot of radioactive paint every day. When they asked about the safety of radium, their managers assured them that there was nothing to worry about. They came to be known as Ghost Girls because the radium dust caused their skin, hair, and clothes to glow. Shockingly, some of them even applied radium paint to their teeth to make their smiles brighter. However, that wasn't true. Radium can be extremely dangerous, especially with repeated exposure. Marie Curie, who handled it, suffered from radiation burns and eventually died from radiation exposure. Other researchers also lost their lives. Over time, this caused bone death and cancer for many of them. A terrible condition known as radium jaw affected many of the workers. Radium jaw is damaged around the mouth from exposure to radium paint. The side effects include tooth loss, abscesses, bone decay, and intense pain. Some of the girls lost a few teeth, while one girl had to have her entire lower jaw removed due to severe damage. Radium causes so much damage because it's chemically similar to calcium. The body mistakes the radioactive metal for calcium and incorporates it into the bone. Alpha particles emitted by the radium can cause bone decay and bone cancer. Workers hired to paint luminous watch dials started experiencing a variety of health issues such as bone cancer, severe arthritis, anemia, bone decay, and muscle decay. In 1927, a case was filed against the American Radium Corporation by 5 women. During the first hearing, the women were so weak they couldn't even lift their arms to take the oath. The press dubbed them the Radium Girls, and the story made headlines. The case was settled out of court in 1928. Sadly, none of the Radium Girls lived past the mid-1930s. It's difficult to determine the exact number of women who died from exposure to the glow-in-the-dark paint, and even harder to quantify how many deaths were caused by various cure-all products containing radium. However, we do know that the death of Eben Byers, a well-known athlete and socialite in the 1920s, was directly caused by a notorious drink called Radithor. He consumed around 1,400 bottles of Radithor over 2 years. As a result, his jaw nearly disintegrated, holes formed in his skull, and he suffered from bone decay and infections all over his body. Since little was known about the effects of radiation on the human body back then, it's possible that many others were affected by these products, but their symptoms might have been misdiagnosed. The radium industry tried to discredit Martlin's findings, but the radium girls themselves fought back. Many knew they didn't have long to live, but they wanted to do something to help their colleagues still working with the deadly substance. In 1927, attorney Raymond Berry agreed to take on their case. Many of the watch painters had only a few months left to live and were forced to accept an out-of-court settlement. Despite this, their stories brought worldwide attention to the issue of radium safety. Yet even then, the United States Radium Corp refused to admit its responsibility, and more women continued to get sick and die. It wasn't until 1938 that the issue was finally resolved. Catherine Wolfe Donahue, a radium worker who was nearing death, successfully sued the Radium Dial Co. over her illness. This landmark case marked a turning point in the fight for justice for the Radium Girls. The story of the Radium Girls is incredibly significant. Their case marked one of the first times a company was held accountable for the health and safety of its workers. It sparked numerous reforms and ultimately led to the creation of workplace safety regulations in the United States. According to reports, at its peak in the early 1920s, around 2,000 women were employed in the industry. Estimates suggest that between 1917 and 1935, nearly 10,000 women may have worked in these roles. Radium Corp submitted an altered version of the report to New Jersey officials and suppressed its findings, denying that its radium dial paint was causing any harm. When one of USRC's senior chemists passed away from aplastic anemia in 1925, it became clear that there was a link. Studies conducted by officials in New Jersey confirmed that the women were suffering from radiation poisoning caused by the radium they were exposed to at work. By 1935, the use of radium in most consumer products was banned through government regulations. Although radium continued to be used in aircraft instruments with stricter safety measures until the 1970s, today, safer technologies have replaced it, significantly reducing the risks associated with its use. Do you think justice was finally served? Meanwhile, have you ever come across such dangerous practices anywhere else? If yes, please do share it with us in the comments down below. It would be an eye-opener for many of the other viewers. And if you liked the video, hit the like and subscribe button and stay with us to watch more exciting and informative content.